Channel says happy Halloween and welcomes you to California Speedway Fontana for the Lexus Grand American Champions Weekend. 11 rounds down, just one to go, and it is the most important round of the year as all three class titles are up for grabs. Why is it so close? Why is it so exciting? Take a look at this. In our first of three classes, the Daytona prototypes, just 3 points separating the Ganassi pair of Scott Pruitt and Max Pappas over SunTrust's Wayne Taylor, and Andy Wallace still very much a contender, 18 points further back. Yes, the trick-or-treating starts early here today at California Speedway Fontana. Good afternoon, everyone. Lee Diffie along with our road racing analyst, Dorsey Schrader. Well, this extraordinary season of Daytona prototype racing began way back at the end of January, and it was drama-filled, certainly, Dorsey. The drama continued throughout this year, and it will conclude here with an amazing crescendo. We're looking so forward to this race. It was your first year on Daytona prototypes, but you've been in sports cars for many years. I'd be interested to hear your thoughts.
Well, it's an amazing year, and if you guys at home have not seen one of these races yet, stay tuned for exactly what a race should be about. Now, there's three class championships all going to be decided today. That's how close things are. And I can tell you, going down in the infield, it's electrifying how much energy there is. The drivers, the mechanics, everybody's on wits' end right now for this race.
And we witnessed a very interesting driver's briefing. The nervous energy, the tension in there was amazing. We will show you the driver's grid, the full field at the top of your screen. But first up, let's get right down into the middle of the action with a man who is in the hot seat. Calvin Fisher's with Scott Pruitt.
Well, Lee, Comp USA Chip Ganassi racing have certainly stacked the deck here today for the final race. They've added a third entry for IRL stars Darren Manning, Scott Dixon, and they sit 1, 2, 3 on the grid. And for Scott Pruitt, you're on the verge of your 7th championship, buddy, but you have a narrow points margin over the 10 car. How big a play will your teammates play in this today, do you think?
I think it's going to be huge. Already we're seeing, I don't think anybody expected us to come here at 1, 2, 3 on the grid. It says a lot for the team, everybody at Lexus, Comp USA, and Chip Ganassi. And secondly, you're talking about some stout drivers all the way through. So, you know, there's no dirty tricks that are going to be played, but if they're going to win, they're going to have to work for it, man.
All right, Scott, good luck. Well, certainly the man we expect to go head-to-head with this guy at the end of this one stands by with Chris Neville.
Cal, Max Angelelli has contributed so much to this SunTrust team. However, you're not in the Drivers' Championship. You missed the Mid-Ohio race. However, you've got to win it for your teammate Wayne Taylor. You've got another Chip Ganassi car out there today. How do you deal with that?
Well, we have quite a complex tactics. I try to summarize. Basically, I have to win. I have to overtake everyone, get the lead, stay in the lead, and beat all the three Ganassi cars. So it's pretty easy task. They told me it's easy, but quite tough.
Well, if there's somebody out here who can do it, he sure can. Lee.
Let's talk about our other two classes in the Rolex Sports Car Series and overview the points. 7, the difference between the former co-drivers, the still teammates, Bill Auberlen and Boris Said, and Justin Marks makes it a PTG BMW 1, 2, 3. In SGS, it has been a stellar year for the TPC Porsche team, especially for Andy Lally, Mark Bunting, and team principal Michael Levitas. Brian Till has more on these two classes.
Well, Lee, in SGS, the championship all but done. Andy Lally and Mark Bunting basically just need to see the green flag, each turn a couple of laps. The championship is theirs. GT, it's something else. Bill Auberlen, Boris said they'll fight it to the end, guys.
This is the Lexus Grand American 400, the final and deciding round of this 2004 Rolex sports car season. It has been brilliant. How will it end? We'll find out now as the green flies here at Fontana, and it's 1, 2, 3 for Ganassi as they head down the front straight. Darren Law comes through on the inside, and here comes Elliott Forbes Robinson.
Up on the 14-minute banking now, they're going to go out NASCAR turn 1 and 2. But when they get to turn 3, it's a bottleneck situation, a hairpin. Watch for the brake zone.
Wayne Taylor tucks in there. So too does the Kodak Easy Share car. They were told in the drivers' meeting to take it easy right here at turn 3.
We've got a spin at the turn 7 and another spin.
Around goes the Bell machine.
And as well the 27. Oh, no, that's the 9. The goat car's around backwards.
On board the 58 with David Donahue. Terry Porchella got turned around. This man was in the middle of it.
The 6 car right there. I thought Neckla's car, it's in trouble.
Meanwhile, back up front, look at this. It's the 0-1 of Max Pappas who leads the way from Jimmy Morales and Darren Manning, and they have bolted away from the rest of the field. And look at this. The 0-2 we ride with. Manning has got ahead of Jimmy Morales.
And watch here, this infield is very, very sandy. You can see the pitting on the lens already happening. Very sandy, very flat infield, very slippery. All of the guys say, you know, overtaking on this infield is nearly impossible.
For Darren Manning, who sits second, his first time in a car like this. He's driven closed-top cars before, but never a Daytona prototype. He runs second ahead of Jimmy Morales and chases his teammate, Max Pappas. Let's show you what happened on that opening lap. Whoa, as Jimmy Morales gets it sideways onto the front stretch.
All confusion down here. It's the 7.
Shane Lewis.
Shane Lewis has already been spun around. He's been bumped into a couple times. We'll have a different angle of this. Now take a look.
Now watch Terry Borcella in the center of your screen, and
he got touched.
Into him.
Yeah, EFR touches him. Go gets spun around as well.
And there was contact there with the Michael Shank car. Wow.
And a full course yellow has resulted, so this is going to have to be all cleaned up. We're under our first full course and not one lap done yet.
Looked like the Sitco car may have been involved in that as well, the 2.
That was all because of a big stack up in that brakes, and I said, watch out when you get to turn 3 because it's a complete stop corner.
Brian, what do you have?
Well, big disappointment on the part of the 09 car. I checked in with Doug Goad and Troy Fliss down here. They said they'd been running so well these last few races, running well but not finishing well. They hoped for a good finish today. That's been taken out in this first turn. Got hit from behind, Stefan Gregoire said, and he now has no drive to that 09 car.
Let's jump aboard the 7 with Shane Lewis and show you what happened from his point of view on this opening lap. Crunch Fest. He's chasing Mike Borkowski.
Take a listen. I'm pretty sure he gets tapped here. We'll hear it. Well, wasn't much of a contact if it was contact, but a quick spin nonetheless. That was the first car to go around, certainly not the last.
And it's a very, very tight section there after you come off the NASCAR banking down onto that flat section, and you have to turn it 2 90-degree turns in through 3 and 4. It's very tight, it's very challenging.
Yeah, and remember that was only the first part of the first lap, so the tire's totally cold.
And we hear that the 2 is coming into the pit lane. The Sitco Crawford is in. Calvin.
Well, here she comes, Milcaduna bringing the car in, and this car really had a lot more speed this morning in the warm-up that Ashley found, and she skids for a stop here. This pit lane is very slippery. The team are going to go to work and see what the problem is here, but they really found a lot of speed in this car this morning. They had a problem with the rear diffuser coming apart. The rear floor of the car acted like a parachute, cost them a lot of straight-line speed. Milka's getting out, and now Andy's getting in, so she's completed a lap, and this, if he can take this to the finish today, this will be one long stint. We've seen him perform miracles before. Can Andy Wallace do it again? Get his 3rd victory, Lee.
Well, what did we see him do at one race? Was it 2 hours and 16 minutes?
Wow, but now you're looking at 3 hours because you've only done 1 lap so far, and that's almost a 3-hour race. He's going to be in there all day.
All right, we have already identified a hot spot. Show us where it is, Dorsey, on the BMW track map.
Well, like I say, the banking all through here, that's all fine, but when you get to this section right in here, 3 and 4, it's almost dead stop in there. We're going to see a lot of action there today. Also, this whole infield is very, very slippery. The good places to pass happen right here, all the way around the big NASCAR end. Do your passing there, you'll be safe.
If you've just joined us, welcome back to Speed Channel's live and exclusive coverage of the Lexus Grand American Champions Weekend. We crowned 3 champions here today for the 3 respective classes, and we are under a full course yellow. The reason why, we had an accident on the first lap involving Stefan Gregoire, also Shane Lewis. We also had Terry Borcella turned around, but the key point is one of the championship contenders, Andy Wallace's number 2 Sitco Crawford. It was in it. Milcaduno at the wheel, and this is the reason we're under the caution. There's Shane Lewis going around first.
Yeah, but that one's just the beginning, because right around the corner, when all these guys turned in here, watch what happens here. Everybody starts punting into everybody else on this right-hander. There you see contact, more contact. 2 cars around backwards. We've heard that the 9, Doug Goad's car, has lost drive from a result of being hit from behind. Here's your onboard look.
This is with Shane Lewis. He's trying to go on the inside of Mike Borkowski in the Margraf Racing Pontiac Riley, one of the new cars in the field.
I don't think he got hit.
And here it is with Terry. Have a listen here with Borcella.
He got hit. No doubt about that one.
And that was the birthday boy, Elliot Forbes Robinson, contacting there. One of our SGS cars is in, and Calvin's there.
Well, we're just crowning our first driver champion of the year. Mark Bunting has done his green flag lap. He's turning it over early to Andy Lally. Once he gets a green flag, they will be co-driver champions in SGS. What a season for this pairing. Only once have they finished off the podium. They look for their 3rd victory today. Andy Wallace, Andy Lally back on track.
The SunTrust Heavies have made the trip over from the East Coast out here to the West. Very important day for their project, and boy, are they thrilled to be involved with the Rolex Sports Car Series. As we ride with Taylor, the team principal, let's have a look at some interesting statistics on this car. And of course, the reason why Angelelli isn't in the title hunt, as Chris mentioned earlier in the show, he did miss the Mid-Ohio round for another racing conflict. But 3 wins, just the 1 pole. Of course, the CompUSA Ganassi car has been dominant in qualifying, and 9 top 5s. That's impressive.
But this team and these guys, these drivers, have fought back so valiantly toward the end of the season to get within the points that they are right now. So they simply have to win. That car has got to win to get a championship.
And the restart point is different to where the race actually started. As soon as the safety car pulls into pit lane and they approach the banking, they can gas it now. We're back to racing already. Ganassi cars 1, 2, and 3. And it's Max Pappas who is in line to take out the Daytona Prototype Championship, only the second in the history of the Rolex Sports Car Series. Manning is right with him, Morales is there, and the birthday boy Elliott Forbes Robinson sits fourth.
61 years young today, Elliott is, and what a scrapper he's still in, winning the last round out.
Taylor is fifth, then Didier Tay sixth, riding with the O2. This is Jimmy Morales. Boy, is this guy excited. We'll elaborate on this later, but the 2005 Rolex Sports Car Series schedule has been announced. And yes, we go to Mexico City, and Jimmy is thrilled about that.
You bet there'll be 1,000 fans for him there.
Look at Wayne Taylor further back in the line, the black and yellow SunTrust car. He's starting to work over Elliott Forbes Robinson as we ride with him.
Now, one thing we've seen with Wayne Taylor, he's very cautious on these starts. He doesn't want to throw it all away. But when he starts to get comfortable and the tires come up to temp, he starts mounting an attack, and that's where he's at right now.
That's what it sounds like to sit inside a Daytona Prototype. Good showing early on, too, from JC France in the first of the Brumos cars. Of course, the Red Bull 58 with Darren Moore. He got pushed off back on the opening lap and sits a little further down the order.
This is what makes this class so great. You don't see racing like this very often where there's a lot of cars in contention. This is what the people will see all day today. 10 rings of cars all going for the win.
There is that where they climb back up onto the banking. It's quite a sudden jolt, isn't it?
It is, and in fact, there's some cones there. They're right there. Mark Rathoff, the series director, is telling the drivers in the drivers' meeting, don't hit the cones and start going up the bank further and further because you'll damage your car.
Osvaldo Negri rounds up Mike Borkowski right around the outside.
Now, we should say Mike Borkowski is running a different engine configuration. He's running a 5-liter Pontiac, which is a motor that will be run next year. Now, he can only run it at 6,500 revs, the same as he's way down on horsepower. He'll be very good at the infield, but he's going to really lack straightaway speed. And they're doing that for development next year. And
Mike is simply driving in that car. Look at this. We rejoin this battle. Elliott Forbes Robinson is coming under increasing pressure from Wayne Taylor. Taylor needs the win today, Dorsey. It's as simple as that.
He does need to win. That's the only chance he's got. You could hear him in the infield right there, short shifting. You're shifting the car on less RPM than what is mandated. And the reason he's doing that is he's got no grip. The infield is so slippery that he feels that it would be better off to shift the car early versus to spin the rear tires this early and wear them out.
Probably should just elaborate on that a little bit. He doesn't need the victory exactly to win, of course, because there can be a point split if there's cars in between the SunTrust car and the 01 Ganassi car, but he needs to be ahead of the 01 and have a few in between. But a win certainly would be a bonus.
The first thing he's got to do is get to the 01 and then get around it. Once he's accomplished that, or once he gets that done, then he can worry about the rest.
Forbes Robinson, remember, coming off the back of his first Daytona Prototype victory with Butch Leitzinger when the race finished under caution at Birmingham, Alabama 2 weeks ago.
There's been so much development done to these different chassis this year. The Crawford chassis, for instance, on these Rovers has been very, very quick. And in the beginning, the SunTrust car, the Ted Wiley, it was the best on the infield and downforce section, but not too good on top end. Great race going on here.
Here comes Terry Borcella. He's got past JC France and now moves closer to the front of the field, and he's playing catch-up. And there was nothing done about the contact between Forbes Robinson and Borcella. I'm sure Terry wasn't impressed by that.
Well, I'm sure that Mark Rathoff looked at that as a cold tire racing incident. He did tell the guys, now don't go down in there, dive bombing each other on the first lap, because you'll have a big accident. Well, he was right. It wasn't a big accident, but it sure took a lot of cars out.
Let's talk GT for a moment. And the 21 is in the lead. That is Bill Auberlen and Justin Marks. And Bill is gunning for his second Rolex Sports Car Series GT crown. He won 2 years ago with Paul Wagner.
Boy, hear that, he's on a rev limiter there. I don't know if I'd be doing that, knowing that I just exploded an engine in the practice session before this.
And the big boys have started the race. They qualified, and Boris said is in the 22. So too in the 16 team with Kelly Cox again this weekend is young Tom Milton, the son of the team owner.
Of course, he makes that pass.
Let's talk more about the 21, Bill Auckland. Brian has an update.
Well, Dorsey, you just talked about him exploding a motor yesterday in practice. Justin Marks was in the 21 car, and what happened was they broke a rod bolt. The concern for all the PTG team is that rod bolt came out of a box that all the other engines are built with also, so they wonder if there was a problem in the manufacturing of that part or not, and a little bit of concern on the part of all three of those BMW engines because they all have the same bolt.
It's running smoothly at the moment, though, and we're into a rhythm now. And Auckland has shown just what a good driver he is amongst various categories, whether it be here in the Rolex Series, the Speed World Challenge, whatever. He is a champion caliber driver and is heading to victory lane at the moment, but there's a long way to go. One of the championship hopefuls, Wayne Taylor, is on pit road. Chris Neville is there.
Lee, it looks like their championship hopes are definitely dashed. He's been down. It looks like he's going to go down a lap just about right now, actually. And the problem with the 10 car is a fuel pickup issue. They're checking all the electronics in the car. They don't look like they really seem to find anything down here. So I have a feeling these guys are probably just going to be fighting this little bug for the rest of the day.
That is devastating. That is crushing for their campaign. For Wayne Taylor in particular, the team principal. And the points as of now, hands Max Pappas, Scott Pruitt, the championship to the tune of 21 points. But of course, it's very early days. But that we've seen two of our three championship contenders fall by the wayside in the opening 10 laps.
Well, the Pruitt boys would like indeed for the race to be over now because they would miss, but it's not over now, and a lot can happen in the next couple hours.
And I can tell you, folks, that we had a Grand Am Cup Series event here yesterday. It was the 10th and final championship deciding race. And one of the two classes was decided on the last lap of the race, so anything can happen. And one of the contenders there got taken out early in the race, but came back and almost won the title.
It can definitely happen, particularly here on this infield where it's so slippery. You can just be at the wrong place at the right time and get caught up in someone else's problem, and that's the end of your day.
Two Ganassi cars here going at it, and Darren Manning, for his first time in a Daytona prototype, brilliant performance. He's had to carry most of the workload this week because his IRL teammate, Scott Dixon, had other duties with the IROC race at Atlanta Motor Speedway. And so Scott came here earlier in the weekend, drove the car in the very first session, and then flew over to Atlanta. And Darren's been driving the car for the rest of the weekend. And I spoke with Mike Hull this morning, and so we're very pleased with Darren. He's done a nice job.
Well, we got word that they've changed the electrical box, the ECU box on the number 10, Riley and Scott, so that's what they've hopefully solved the problem. But what a way to lose a championship, huh, with electronic like that.
That is frustrating. Second and third here. This is Jimmy Morales, the Mexican in the CompUSA. Lexus powered Riley, and that is also a talking point. Lexus is fighting Pontiac for that Daytona prototype manufacturer's title. Great scraps all the way through all of our three classes. Incidentally, in SGS, it's Michael Levinas and Randy Post who lead the way.
See how bottlenecked it gets right there in the infield in traffic when these faster Daytona prototypes catch up with some of the slower underclass cars. There's just not much room in there, side by side.
So a caution, a full course caution after the first lap of the race. And the guys have settled down into a nice rhythm now. And it is as it was at the start. Ganassi 1, 2, and 3. Oh,
That's what I was talking about.
And Darren Manning loses the front of his car after clipping Jeff Escolet's car.
And puts Escolet into the wall. You see it there. He had a little damage at the back already. That was a brand new race car. Seasoned one now.
The Stuttgart Performance Porsche. Nose into the wall, and Darren Manning without a nose. And I don't think Jeff knew he was there.
Now, I don't think he did know he was there. That's why I was talking about that infield. There is the whole front end right there. We'll take a different look at this situation and see what happens. Here you see, I don't think he knew he was on the outside. They clip right there. The Porsche just gets turned sideways, puts him in the wall, hard in the wall. Take another angle of this and take a look here. Up the inside, just, oh, you see, man tried not to crash. He went across the curve trying not to make that contact. But now he has no front end. Let's ride on board the O2 and see what it looks like. Here, Dodge there, dodging the whole front end. Now Manning's got no front end. Really significant. Now he's down in the pits, and Calvin's there. Cal?
Well, Darren has got the 02 car on a pit lane, and it doesn't look too bad. They're just taping their nose on. The clips are obviously broken, but I don't see any suspension damage at this point. In fact, they're doing no tire change, just trying to keep Darren on the lead lap. There's been some kind of pit stop infraction here. I'm not sure if there's too many men over the wall, and now adjusting his mirrors quickly with a new nose. And the penalty is over. They'll send him underway.
You'll notice that it's got the 02 nose on it, but it is the 8 car of Darren Manning. There you can see the 2 number differences.
I'm quite amazed the Titans Explorer is going to allow that car to run with that 02 on the nose like that. That's going to be 2 02s now. It's just, you know, it's a technicality, but they should have had to block that 02 on the nose off. Confuses guys like me that's usually confused.
And just so you don't get confused, the point you can look out, the point of reference you can watch for is the red windshield there, just above Darren's head. So the IRL man experiencing his first DP race, and he's been right in the thick of it as Wayne Taylor back out on track in the SunTrust Pontiac Riley. Frustration for them. And let's go inside their camp with Chris Neville.
Bill, we initially heard that it was possibly an ECU problem, then it didn't look like that. You brought Wayne back into pit lane, did a little bit more work in the engine area. Do you have any idea what's going on with the car?
Well, we changed 3 things at once, and then one of them fixed it, so we'll have to look at it later on and see what it was. But it's a real shame, but we'll get going.
Obviously, this pretty much takes you out of the championship unless the 01 has any problems. Is there anything more you can do today, or do you just look towards next year?
Well, we just keep running as fast as we can today, see if anything happens to the 01, and just get working for next year.
Well, this is really a heartbreak for this team. They put such a huge effort into this and really surprised everybody in their first year of competition.
Just joined us, what Calvin and Scott Dixon were talking about.
Around the outside, and just no room for that to happen. I said at the beginning when we did the track map, the safest place to pass would have been to go to the next corner, which is the bank. Where that car, that Daytona prototype, would have been much faster than that Porsche, and you wouldn't have put it in jeopardy.
To give you an idea of what a class act the CompUSA Ganassi guys are as we ride with our race leader, I was talking with Mike Huley, team manager, and he said, you know what? Just touching on a point that Calvin made about the IndyCar guys being here, the crew working on that number 8 is a combination of Scott Dixon and Darren Manning's IRL team. They had the weekend off, and those guys volunteered to come and do this. They wanted to be here. And in fact, when Mike Hull asked the employees who wants to work on this program, they were oversubscribed. More guys wanted to come here than they actually had positions for.
I tell you, race car mechanics don't get paid near enough money for the hours they put in. And the reason they get the hours in is they love this sport. And so when given the opportunity to go do another one, absolutely, I'll go.
That's first, that's second. It's 0-1, 0-2. Max Pappas, Jimmy Morales. CompUSA Ganassi, the Lexus powered Rileys, first and second, simple as that. Elliott Forbes Robinson is third for the Boss Snowplow, Howard Boss Motorsports, Pontiac powered Crawford. Then there's a thrilling battle going on at the moment in fourth and fifth between Oswaldo Negri for Michael Shank Racing, there's EFR, and Terry Borchella, who has powered his way back to 5th place. And let's hear more about this machine with Calvin.
Well, what a rebound this team has made since that huge crash that Christian Fittipaldi had dicing up there at the front of the pack at Barber Motorsports Park in the rain. Over $50,000 worth of damage, over 200 man-hours to get that car back on track. And the problem was they've done a lot of aerodynamic tweaks on the 54 machine throughout the season, but they were not able to get those parts on the car here. They knew they'd struggle a little bit. They've been scratching at the setup, and after that early problem, Terry Borchella has certainly climbed his way back through the pack, Lee.
And Cal, here it is right here. This is the place where both these cars were taken out on the opening lap. Oswaldo Negri and Terry Borchella. And Terry's trying to pick his place.
Oh, that's going to be close. I knew that was going to be pretty close in there.
Now watch Oswaldo. He'll take exception to that. He will not want to stand for that. These two are two tough customers.
See, Terry Borchella got pushed off line a little bit. He couldn't get any traction out there. Oswaldo knew it, jumped on the throttle where he had some grip and went right back by. But there's going to be some fist shaking at these two guys are a little bit hot of each other right now.
And in the 2005 season, Oswaldo Negri, you may see him in a different car. He's some hot property at the moment. There's several team owners want him on their list and in their cars.
That was clutch there.
As Terry Borchella turns up the heat, inside move, can he do it? No,
not yet.
Switches back.
Locks a little bit of a breakup. Oh, look how close they're running in there.
This is the battle for fourth, overall and in Daytona prototypes. Darren Law isn't too far further back behind where he's sitting
dust come out and everybody buzz? No?
And here's Borchella sizing him up for the inside run into turn 3. Can't quite do it as they come down the main straight. You've got to be with that car heading around the banking into 3. Here's what happened between Borchella and Negri.
Terry was very good. Oh, he locks the brake up slide. There wasn't contact. Negri moved over and let him have that.
Yeah, actually. I think you may have saw that Terry had plenty of speed coming on.
Saw a little bit of a right rear lockup out of that car. Remember, you're coming off that banking of 11 degrees right there onto a complete flat surface. So when you're braking, the wheels are all unloaded at different levels.
You ride with Darren Law now in the 58 Red Bull Brumos car, the Porsche-powered Fab car, and he's chasing Borchella. And look at Mike Borkowski, the man who used to drive the 58 Red Bull car, and in fact that was victorious here 12 months ago at Fontana.
And Borkowski, admittedly down on horsepower, he can be really quick right through here though. In fact, that car's a brand new car. It was the 5th quickest on the infield of all these cars the other day in practice.
Darren Law has re-signed with the Brumos organisation. You'll see Darren and David Donahue back together next year. Brian Till.
Well, 2004 has been a year that the Brumos guys would like to forget. Only 3 top 5 finishes between the 2 cars. And I talked to Bob Snodgrass about the season they had. He said, we're going to have a proposal for some engine developments on our Porsche engine. We're also working very hard on our chassis. And we're hoping for much better things next year. As a matter of fact, I've given the guys some incentive. We win Daytona, they get to shave my head. And David Donahue got a huge smile on his face. He said, I want to see Bob bald.
Wow.
That would be a sight.
Speaking of new chassis, you're working on their chassis. Well, guess what? Everybody's working on their chassis. As a matter of fact, we're going to see Daytona.
Something's happening to Terry Borchella. Borchella is slowing. Sorry, Dorse, but as you saw, everyone went whipping by.
Something but screw here. This car's been just literally totaled twice this year and rebuilt. Can't hear what's going on here.
And when you think that this was the championship-winning car last year,
look at the right rear.
Oh yeah.
Something's broken suspension-wise.
They have not been able to win a trick this year, except for the big one, the Rolex 24 at Daytona. They started the year on a massive high, but it's been frustration since then for the Kodak EasyShare Doran.
This car almost totally destroyed just in the last race out. So, I mean, they've had to rebuild 90% of this car.
The 27 of Didier Taze, who runs 8th, is immediately ahead. In fact, he's moved up to 7th now, of course, because Terry Borchella is limping home. We'll find out what the story is and tell you all about it when we return.
Welcome back, and problems for last year's Daytona prototype champion Terry Borchella has brought the number 54 Kodak machine in. Problems with the left rear suspension. The top A-arm has collapsed. Now, they're not going to try and change it right now. They're going to try and bend this thing back into the correct state. But I wouldn't want to be going these speeds, 170 miles an hour plus, with a wishbone that's been bent back into shape. So they're probably going to have to make a tough call here and may need to change this. Right now, Jim Bell on the radio talking to the crew. They get a bigger bar. This is the AJ Foyt method of fixing this car. I'm not sure it's going to hold up, Lee.
Well, I tell you guys, I wouldn't want to drive that car either, Calvin, with that. When they bend that back, it's going to weaken that link. Of course, that damage resulted in turn 1, crash over there turn 3.
Well, that's what I was thinking, Dorsey, but that was on the other side.
There he goes. He got it back straight. But now that's very much
on the right side.
That's true. That is very much weakened now, where he's bent that straight back again.
So the Bell team will go to work. Meanwhile, let's talk SGS Super Grand Sport, and leading the way is the 04 Grease Monkey racing machine of G. Segal and Harrison Briggs. Gene is behind the wheel right now. And these guys have had a very good season. They haven't done the full season, but they've had a highest result of 2nd, and very impressive. And if they're going to do a full 2005 season, they will be genuine contenders in the new GT/SGS class. Chris?
Lee, and the team has committed that they will be back with 2 cars next year, so we should see them running strong in the GT class. They've had a couple good weekends, that portion of the year that they've run. However, a couple instances on the racetrack have kept them out of a good finish, but typically they're pretty fast on the racetrack, so hopefully they'll have some better luck with finishes next year.
And talking about bad luck, the 03, which is the sister Grease Monkey racing car with young Andrew Alfonso at the wheel, just before the start of the race, the hood flew up, Dorsey, smashed the windshield, and literally as they were gridding up, the crew had to put a new windshield in there, and it was pretty anxious times, but they're out on track, and Alfonso, in fact, runs 4th in class, so a terrific effort.
Yeah, that was like minutes before the start, and they had to take the whole windscreen out of there. They had a mechanic climb inside, kick it out with his boots. That got it out all right, but going back together is a different story.
Michael Levitas will be frustrated that he cannot be the champion here this year in Super Grand Sport. He's the team owner, he's the principal of Turbo Performance Centers, and he and Randy Popes. Randy missed a couple of, well, he missed one race meeting, and then he didn't score points in another after Michael was involved in a pretty heavy crash. And that took Randy out of the championship, and Mike Levitas has pretty much sewn second place up in that SGS championship. So a solid year for TPC, and Levitas will fight all the way to the end. And there they are, the two TPC machines. Andy Lally, the champion-elect for this new class in 2004. For many years, the Rolex Sports Car Series was 4 different classes. This year it got trimmed to 3. And next year, I have to say, it's a very smart idea. To keep it simple, it'll be 2 classes next year, Daytona Prototype and GT.
And that, for the fans, will be a fantastic situation because the 2 cars are so vastly different. Everyone knows what the prototype is. Everybody will now know what the GT is.
Update on Terry Borchella's situation. A message direct from race control. They say the 54 Kodak EasyJet Doran must change that suspension piece, Cal.
That's correct, Lee, and Jim Bell said the problem is I don't have a spare part for that corner of the car, so the team have run down to Kevin Durant. They've now got the correct A-arm, and they're now going to bring Terry Borchella back into pit lane. The official was trying to stop Terry from leading the pits. The team were unaware of that, so he went back on track, and immediately the officials came down and said, you've got to stop the car. That is unsafe. Get him back in here. They now have the part. They will be able to fix it, but lose a lot of time, Lee.
That is a very smart call by race director Mark Raffoff to make that car come in. These cars running 170 plus miles per hour, and that thing breaks. That's not going to be a good day.
So Terry Borchella makes his way back onto pit road, and they will fix that situation for the Kodak EasyShare car. The 16, the third PTG BMW with young Tom Milner behind the wheel, and talking with Tom Sr., I understand that this young man will be a permanent fixture in the team next year. Let's hear from his co-driver, Kelly Collins.
Kelly, the past few seasons, you've been a fixture with the Corvette factory team. This year, you floated around a little bit, but still a lot of success. Lots of professional drivers are thinking that the future of sports car racing is the Daytona prototypes. You had some good runs this year with G&W. Are we going to see you back in a prototype next year?
You know, I'd like to be back in a prototype. Right now, I'm putting all my eggs in one basket. I like the Grand Am. It's been good to me so far this year, and I really feel like the Renaissance man. You know, I've driven GT cars, I've driven the prototypes, I've driven for 3 different Doran teams, and I'm working on some stuff. I got some irons in the fire in GT and in Grand Am Cup and in prototypes. So right now, I'm just focused on this race today. I'm driving for the PTG BMW factory team. I'm the 3rd car with Tom Milner Jr. and having a blast doing it. It's a very nice car to drive, and our job here is to win Billy or Boris the championship.
Well, he's put on some great shows all year long. Hopefully we'll see him back next year.
And yes, folks, we give him plenty of grief about those weird glasses he wears. Kelly can wear some goofy stuff sometimes. Borchella is back on pit road, and the Bell team will fix that problem with the rear suspension part. Meanwhile, we need to squeeze in a quick commercial break. This is the Rolex Sports Car Series live on speed from Fontana. Plenty more to come. Welcome back to Fontana. There has been much talk this weekend about plans for drivers and teams for the 2005 season. A name very familiar to the Rolex Sports Car Series, George Robinson, will be back next year at the Rolex 24.
The new car is a Daytona prototype made by Riley and Scott with a Toyota engine in it, and I think it's going to be a really good combination. It's proved to be very successful last season. I've always been a big fan of the Riley and Scott chassis. It was a very difficult decision to come to choose the Riley and Scott. There's some terrific chassis available in this series, but my long-standing loyalty to Bill and Bob Riley and Mark Scott, you know, is what's led me to be in Riley and Scott again.
So good news there, and even more news. The 2005 schedule was released this weekend. It'll be a 14-round championship with some new venues. on there, and you can check that out on grandamerican.com. Also, Michael Shank Racing announced that they will run Mike Borkowski, Paul Mears. We already told you about that earlier in the year. An exciting program with Finlay Motorsports. It's a BMW Riley with the newly crowned Star Mazda champion Michael McDowell and former Champ Car star Mimo Gidley. Mike Boffman, who has run in Grand Am Cup and also the Rolex Series, he's going to come into the Daytona Prototype League, and so too is Kevin Buckler, who has purchased 2 Crawfords in Daytona Prototypes. And I just found out today that Steve Southard for Southern Motorsports has purchased a Riley and will keep the BMW power plant. So there are so many new combinations coming next year. Now, Elliott Forbes-Robertson brought the 4 onto pit road. What happened down there, Cal?
Well, certainly not a great way to celebrate your birthday. EFR 61 here today. He got a flat spot, Lee, and the team were really concerned at these high speeds that he would get a blowout, so they took this opportunity to bring him in, change all 4 tires, top him up with gas, and leave him behind the wheel. So Butch Leisinger will take over that car. This car won the last round at Barber Motorsports Park, and that was the 6th different winner this year, really just showing what a great series this is.
Now, what happens with a flat spot is when the guy's braking really hard for a corner and he locks up the tire and keeps it that way too long, it gets a little square edge on it. Now, the reason it would blow out is that every time you brake for that same corner or brake hard again, that square or flat spot gets to the bottom and stops rolling. So it keeps taking more rubber off till you get to the cord, then you have a catastrophic tire failure.
Max Pappas leads this race. Jimmy Morales is second. Then we get to this battle here for third. 3 cars vying for that top 3 spot. Oswaldo Negri is the first in line in the Michael Shank machine. Then you've got Darren Law in the Red Bull Porsche, and then it's Mike Borkowski in the Margraf racing car. Brand new car, brand new team to Daytona Prototype Racing, and Mike Borkowski has been lending Bill Margraf and George Nolte a hand. They've been very appreciative of Mike's advice, and Mike has really become Mr. Daytona Prototype, hasn't he? He has driven so many different combinations.
And that's good for him because he's been able to pick away at all these different chassis, see what he likes, see what the strong points of each is. Now they're testing an engine package for next year. It is a 5-liter instead of 5.5-liter. So it's got less horsepower. You see it right there as he's losing ground on the straightaway. Mike can do nothing about that, but they're just developing the engine for next year's rules. Now, right here, though, when he gets to the Sinfield where horsepower doesn't make a difference, Mike will put it to the test. You see it gains right back up again.
And I can tell you there's a car just ahead of these guys, not on the lead lap, but he is flying, and that is Andy Wallace in the 2 Sitco Crawford. He just laid down a 1:33, which was faster than our race leader Max Pappas, and Bill Auberlen has brought the 21 BMW M3 onto pit lane, and Chris Neville is there.
Lee, lots of action with the PTG team. Bill Auberlen came in, fuel and tires. He stayed in the car. Also, Boris Said came in the 22. He handed it over to Joey Hand. Fuel and tires, smooth stop for that team too. And also, it looks like Tom Milner is setting up to come in, and Kelly Collins will be getting in that car shortly.
All 3 PTG BMWs. And we get back to this, the race for third. Negri, Law, Borkowski.
Now for Borkowski, he realizes the downfall that he has in the straightaway. There's no real reason to put that car in jeopardy by trying to make a dive bomb pass, knowing full well that he gets on the banking, there's nothing he can do to keep these 2 cars from outpowering him.
I love the sound of this Porsche.
That's what a Porsche engine at 9,000 revs sounds like. It sounds pretty darn good. Just a little warble of the engine, a little note change as the banking picks up, and he loses a little speed just due to the bank itself.
Oh, and Darren is overcooked it.
Nice save, though. Little rear brake lock up there coming off that bank. It's a really delicate situation to try to brake going across the grain of the downhill part of the banking and then get onto this flat.
That Daytona Prototype looked like a sprint car for a moment there. And Darren Law with some very nice driving. And you realize just how competitive this DP Racing is when a driver the caliber of Darren Law, who was voted by Autosport magazine as a top 10 Porsche driver in the world, and he is outside the top 10 in this championship chase. This has been tough this year.
It's been very tough for the Brumos team this year. Of course, they're running the oldest chassis, too, we should say. It's got the most miles on it. They're working very desperately right now for next year to get a little bit more out of that chassis, and as well as we said before, the Porsche engine itself, trying to make a little bit more gain in torque, not horsepower. It makes a lot of horsepower, but it doesn't have much torque.
There is the Margraf Pontiac Riley at the end of that train. George Nolte, I would say, would be a little apprehensive at this point in time because Mike Kwiatkowski has put that car in a very strong position on its first race out.
I'll tell you what, if we'd been at a different racetrack than this, the California Speedway, where we didn't have these ultra-long, high straightaways, that car would be very competitive. I can tell you, I mean, it's losing ground in the straightaway, but that's the only place it's losing ground.
Darren Moore would love to finish the year on a high note for he and teammate David Donahue. They have not stood on the podium once this year. Fourth is their best effort, so to finish with a top three would send them into the off-season, into the winter, with some satisfaction. 57 on pit road, and Brian Tiller's in there.
Lee Dominic Cicero brings the 57 car in. A routine stop. Chad McQueen standing by watching his teammate as he does his stop. Chad, he's down and away. But you and I talked before the beginning of the race. A lot of talk about Daytona prototypes and things going on next year. You guys, too, have some great news.
Yeah, we do. First off, I got to thank Desert European Motor Cars and Rancho Mirage for getting me this ride this weekend. Mr. Ted Spooner from Western East Racing has ordered a Crawford for us to go DP racing next year. We'll announce our motor program in the next 2 weeks, so I'm very excited, Brian. I can't wait.
It's great news, guys. Another DP in the field, and with the McQueen name, it should be good.
Can you imagine what the Rolex 24 at Daytona is going to be like?
It's going to be fantastic. Of course, Chad, the legendary son of legendary actor Steve McQueen, and he has been racing cars and motorcycles as his father did quite a long time.
And a good guy to boot. So Darren Law is not letting Oswaldo Negri have it in sight. Meanwhile, at the front of this field, the championship is getting closer and closer. The Ganassi boys are running down a dream. They can almost taste that champagne.
It was a beautiful day, Sunday day.
Back here at the Lexus Grand American Champions Weekend, California Speedway Fontana. Endurance racing is all about hanging in there to the end, not giving up, and that's what this little British Bulldog does. Andy Wallace in the 2 Simcoe Crawford. He sits 12th overall, and he is fighting hard to claw his way back.
Andy's running lap times quicker than the entire field. The bad news is he's a lap down, and it's going to be awfully hard at this racetrack for him to get that lap back.
And the reason why he was gunning for the championship and his teammate Milcaduno was not, of course, you remember he raced in at the Rolex 24 at Daytona with Tony Stewart and Dale Earnhardt Jr. and Milka wasn't in that car then, and of course he ran with Tony Stewart as well, so that put those guys out of sync. Calvin, what do you have for us?
Well, I just checked in with the team. They said the car is absolutely flying. I said, will Andy stay in the car the rest of the distance and try and do almost 3 hours? And they said, if we can get back in the game and get back on that lead lap, then the answer is yes. But if we can't really claw our way back, then Milka will do a stint at the end of this one. But the team, as I mentioned earlier on during that start, they've found a lot of speed with the car. The floor was coming away. They found that last night, and Andy said this morning they picked up 3 to 4 miles an hour on the banking in the warm-up session this morning, so the car is certainly back up to speed, Lee.
They're not willing to release it just yet, but I can tell you they've signed a big name, well-known sports car driver to run in the Crawford team, the Howard Boss Motorsports team, next year. So look out for that coming up soon.
They're currently under construction with 4 chassis that are going to be built for next year, actually for testing this year, later on. So this class next year will again over double in size from what it was at the beginning.
One car we haven't spoken about is the 27 Doran Lister machine. It's running 5th, and Didier Tays has Jan Magnussen with him this weekend. Meanwhile, let's update you on SGS, and there's a good scrap going on here. Gene Segal in the Grease Monkey 04, and the 38 of Andy Lally. This is first and second in the Super Grand Sport class. Lally has gone by Mike Levitas, and now he's gunning for the lead. He's not content with just circulating and picking up whatever points to clinch this title. He wants to go out with a victory at this 12th and final race of the year.
Well, racers will be racers, regardless of that title or not. I mean, they're having a good time out there, the 2 of these.
With the Grease Monkey outfit.
Done a great job this year. You know, you watch these street-based Porsches and you see all the buffeting around the bumping. This infield is not very smooth, and I tell you, really, it's hard to get the grip through here.
They sit further down in 20th overall in the field. This is first and second in Super Grand Sport. And in GT, the Kevin Flanagan, Pat Flanagan, Kevin Buckler machine leads the way there. But look at this, Darren Manning clawing his way back. He's just picked up 5th place. And the IRL star is not slowing down for anybody. If you've just joined us, we know it says 02 on the front of the car. If you didn't see it earlier, Darren was involved in an accident with Jeff Escalette, and he lost the front nose of the car. They replaced it with Jimmy Morales and Luis Diaz's. And now he's back in action and turning some very impressive lap times. Back up into the top 5, Darren Law will be the next one on his list. He'll hand over to 2003 IRL IndyCar star Scott Dixon later in this race. Taze will hand over to former F1 star Jan Magnussen. And those pit stops are not too far away. And of course, Mad Max will hand over to former open wheeler star Scott Pruitt. Back live here at Fontana. At one point in this race, it was 1, 2, and 3 for the Comp USA Ganassi cars. Now it's only Max Pappas up there by himself because the second place car, Jimmy Morales, has got major issues with the back right of this car. We think that the tyre may just be on there, but when we see the other side of the car, there is just a rim. And the tyre is pushed right on the inside of the car, Dawes.
Yeah, the tyre itself is rode to the inside of the wheel. You have a good look at it here. And it's up inside the fender well there. He's limping that back in there. It's also got a great big hole all the way through the front where the fake headlight is. So some debris has gone right through the front of that car.
So Jimmy Morales has been taken out of second place. And while we're away as well, Oswaldo Negri and Darren Law had a terrific scrap. And Darren Law has now put the 58 Red Bull machine into second place because of that overtaking move and also because of Morales' problem. So you're right now with the second place car.
This would be a great, great finish for Darren if he could keep this car here.
Negri has been elevated to 4th, Manning to 5th. Meanwhile, Morales is on pit road and going very, very slow. He's got to go all the way to the end. The Ganassi guys are right at pit out, and our little midget, Calvin Fisher's there.
Thanks, Lee, and as you said, he's limped the car back. The key when you have a punch like this is not to take the car at a speed that's going to do other damage to the suspension. So the team will take a quick look here underneath the wheel well. Everything looks okay, so they're just going to change tires. They're going to do a driver change. Luis Diaz, the younger Mexican driver, going to get behind the wheel, and this team has been very impressed with the performance of this young man this season. And there's talk next year, if they run 2 to 3 cars once again, they may split these driver pairings and have a Mexican in each of the 2 team cars. Certainly big news down in Mexico is this Grand Am Championship. Everything looks okay. They're waiting on the last drops of fuel. The other servicing is done on the O2 car, Lee.
Thanks, Cal. And that's disappointing for Luis Diaz and Jimmy Morales. Because Jimmy, we have seen Jimmy get a little excited in the opening stages of these races and on occasion make a few errors, but Jimmy had driven a very sensible race to that point.
You can see a little contact had been made up in the right front corner there where that damage was. Crew guy went over, looked at it, assessed it. No problem, but that's not the only hunting around going on. But take a look at some good racing that happened here between these two.
Oh, yeah.
58 Darren Law.
That was a good old scrap, wasn't it, between Law and Negri?
And they got into it down here on the infield. Take a look right here. Negri to the inside just really goes up through the dirty part of the racetrack. Bam, they bounce off each other. That was kind of a payback kind of thing for what had happened right before that.
Back on board, back live. Oh, this is still the replay. There goes Oz. Overcooks it. Darren says, thank you. I'll take it back and I'll stay here now. Darren Law maintains his second position. And you have to say, so much has been going on from second position back. It's been a dream run for race leader and championship hopeful Max Pappas. But for now, let's go to Brian Till.
Lee, I checked with Mike Colucci, who runs the 58 car for Darren Law, and David Donahue. I said, was there any damage caused by that little scrape with the 6 car? He just kind of smiled. He's looking at the monitor in front of us, so he saw everything that was going on. He kind of gave me that wry smile and said, hadn't said a word, guys, hadn't said a word.
That was one of those kind of things, Brian, where it could have been avoided, but it was like, okay, we'll have no more of that. Take a little hip shot here and leave me be.
So the Red Bull Porsche-powered Fab car sits second. And this is a very solid run. They did, I think from memory, they did for a portion of Montron Long, didn't they?
Yes, they did, yeah.
Right up the front there.
Because they had a big crash there.
Yeah.
I'll tell you what, these cars have proven one thing to me all year long, and they are very, very sturdy cars. We've seen some huge, huge accidents. All these cars still running at the end of this year.
And we ride with Max Pappas. He's bringing it onto pit road. Race leader is in. He has a 1:21 lead margin over Darren Law. That's how comfortably he's doing it here today.
That's unbelievable lead around here, but it's not over yet.
And look how long it is. We'll be quiet for a moment. This is how long it goes. Forever.
Painstakingly, if you've been going around 170 miles an hour, you have to come limping down this pit lane at this speed. This will be a scheduled pit stop instead of in the window now.
Cal.
It is a scheduled stop. We expect Scott Pruitt to jump over the wall. He does so. There's going to be a driver change and routine stop. This Ganassi team has just been remarkable this year. Certainly looking for their 4th victory. But when you look at the speed of this car, 11 races they started from the pole position. A couple of those were given to them when we had rainouts in qualifying. But it's just remarkable that this team has been able to perform at that level. What I like about this team, they may not come up off the trailer quick, but they keep working diligently throughout the weekend and eventually find the speed. And they've done it again here at Montana.
Oh, trouble there.
Problems with the fuel rig. Scott got the go-ahead to go, and it's disconnected, and this is where we go wrong. This is what we were saying. This team does it right, and now they're saying there's other cars in the way. Scott is being held up here at pit lane, so the key is whether that fuel neck got damaged when he tried to pull it out, and if they'll be able to get fuel in on the next one, Lee.
And Oswaldo Negri was released from pit lane ahead of him, and Darren Law should be at the front of this field.
That was a penalty served because of that fuel hose. That, of course, could have been a much worse situation than what it was. Luckily, no igniting of that spilled fuel.
Look up ahead, Darren Law has now got Scott Pruitt in his sight. To the right of your screen, the blue, there it is. There's Darren Law coming in, pressuring.
Problem is all these other cars in between both of these cars. Pruitt's car will be on tires that are brand new, that are not up to temperature, so he'll be a little bit lame through this infield, whereas Law, with good sticky rubber, should be able to make some ground.
And there's 3-4 cars ahead of Darren Law, but he's in the groove. Scott Pruitt is getting into the groove. And while he tries to bridge that gap, this is what happened.
Watch the fuel hose over here. This whole fuel hose is still connected. Now it's going to get pulled out. When it does, there's the gas right there that didn't get onto anything to ignite it. Thank heaven for that, because that fuel guy right there is covered in gas.
Look at it spewing out.
Now they're going to give it a stop-and-go penalty as well as hold it at pit lane. It will get a stop-and-go penalty. And we just talked about how long the pit lane and how slow it is. This is a hugely costly error.
So that is not what the points leaders needed. All 3 of our championship contenders in Daytona prototypes have had something go wrong today. They are not going to earn this title easily.
Now they're not going to at all. Of course, they've got the title as long as they can just keep running and not have any more of these catastrophes, but they might not win this race now.
So Scott Pruitt gets back up to speed, and Darren Law, I think, may be on pit road. He is indeed. Darren Law has brought the 58 machine in.
This again will be the scheduled pit stop that we've been looking for.
And Chip Ganassi talking with Grand American Road Racing officials. And as we ride with Scott Pruitt, you have to say a stellar opening stint from the man from Phoenix, Arizona. Let's get down to the Brumos camp.
Darren Law brings the 58 Red Bull Brumos Porsche to a stop. David Donahue will take over driving duties. What a tremendous job Darren Law has done to get this car up to 2nd place. We know they don't have quite the power they want and quite the handling they want. We already chronicled the fact that they are working to improve those. David Donahue will get back out to see if he can do damage, and you can see some damage, some tire mark on the side of this car, the right side, probably from Oswaldo Negri and the little scrape that they had out on the track. It's a battle to the end, guys. The championship may be settled, and these guys aren't in it. It doesn't mean they're not going to race to the checkered flag. They want to win.
We know that this car runs well. It was victorious here last year. Now let's go to the Ganassi camp. Calvin is with Mike Hull.
Mike, certainly not the pit stop you wanted to see. Was Scott given the go-ahead, or did he just jump early?
One of the guys on the inside got a little anxious there and waved his arm, and Scott went. Scott was smart enough to stop, though. He saw what was going on, and we paid a little bit of the price there, waiting to get out of here, 25 seconds worth.
Is there any additional penalty for that type of infraction in the pit lane? And secondly, Was the fuel mech damaged, could you tell, Mike, when he went with it?
Well, certainly the fuel probe is not usable again in our lifetime, but we got a spare.
Okay, one thing the Ganassi boys were complaining about, they said he shouldn't have been stopped. There's no reason that he should not have been allowed to go there with the other cars coming down pit lane, Lee.
Wow, high drama here. And there is David Donahue getting up to speed as Scott Pruitt blows on by. So now we have a Ganassi 1-2 again, and Manning will hand over to Scott Dixon shortly. Auberlen still leads the way in GT.
I'm gonna hit the road, adios, my friend.
Welcome back, and the second place runner, the number 8 machine driven by Darren Manning, has been brought in, and he's turned it over to Scott Dixon. So the two IRL boys working together. This, in fact, Darren Manning's IRL pit crew. Engineer Bill Pappas up there on the pit stand directing the action here. They just put a little bit more tape on that nose. Scott Dixon back underway. A good clean stop. They're fighting back, boys. They could be on the podium tonight.
The last time we saw Scott Dixon in a Daytona prototype was the Rolex 24 at Daytona, and he did a superb job there. Let's go down to Brumos with Brian.
Lee JC France brought the 59 car in. Hurley Haywood, the Daytona winner, the Le Mans winner, the Sebring winner. He will take over this 59 car and get it back on track. Brumos very pumped up about the performance of both cars today, but when Darren Law got out of the 58, it was almost like he had won. Very excited about today and the future for these guys. The entire Brumos team fired up. Hurley Haywood will get the 59 back on track.
And as those guys service the famous 59, take a look at this as Scott Pruitt pushes into 0-1, and I think just ahead of him, Andy Wallace got his lap back.
That is fantastic. There's Andy Wallace in the 2, Sitco. He needs a caution now really bad. If we can get a caution, Andy would be in this race.
So he has to keep pushing because Scott Pruitt is not too far behind. He could lose that lap again, but this has been a stunning drive from Andy Wallace.
Now, of course, on the fresher tires with a full fuel load, Andy at the end of his stint will have to make a pit stop relatively soon.
Keep in mind that we have had 43 laps and only one caution, and that was after the first lap. Speaking of Pruitt, let's finish off that point about the stop-go penalty, Doors.
Well, I'll tell you what happened there. They falsely assessed that 25-second penalty when he stopped it at the end of pit lane. They should not have done that. What he should have got was that go out there with the cars, come in and do a stop-and-go penalty. Since, though, Grand American made a mistake, they admit they made the mistake. They said, okay, look, you won't get the stop-and-go. We already gave you the 25 by mistake. So that's good on their end.
The Lexus power plant with Scott Pruitt at the wheel and here's Wallace. Time to come in for a stop after he's been pushing so hard and worked his way back to get up back on the lead lap.
He just needed a caution to happen. Of course, it didn't happen. Now they're going to put 4 tires on there.
And the Hardens
got out. Yeah.
Well, Andy Wallace has brought the 2 Sitco machine in. He's done a great job. He has a lot of speed, but he didn't get that break. He desperately needed a yellow there to try and get a free stop and stay on that lead lap. He's going to go a lap down again, but there's still a long way to go. He's going to keep fighting. A little bit of a delay on the right front, otherwise routine.
And we hear a whisper that the 58 Red Bull machine is back on pit road and Brian Till is there.
Lee, he did bring it back in. David Donahue brings it in. They put the jacks down. The car is up in the air, and the guys running around don't know what the problem is, but they are taking the engine cover off. Huge disappointment. Now, Donahue stalled the car on the way out of pit. The last time it was hard to get the car restarted, so we don't know if there's something wrong in the back end of the car, but they're definitely having to take the engine cover off. Huge disappointment. They were so fired up just a few minutes ago, and now that high is very low.
How many times have we seen this? Just when they're in a position, a favorable position, their luck turns against them.
Well, we don't know if there's a gearbox problem or something. When he stalled it down there that Brian was talking about, you know, you try to get it going again and you crank the motor up, pop the clutch, you could have drive-by failure or something like that. Who knows? We'll find out later.
As we go to the break, have a look who's in second place. EFR, Elliott Forbes Robinson, but he needs to hand over to Butch Leitzinger, and that will happen soon. And in SGS, it's a good day for the TPC boys.
You're just like everybody else.
And 7 machine has run into problems here. Frustration there.
Dominic Cicero, you see damage to the left front headlight area of that car. We'll take a look now and see why that is that way. Oh, dear. Whoa. That's not the right way to go at all. Ooh, big impact.
Chad McQueen getting ready to step into that car, and of course Chip Vance, the regular driver in the 57 Stevenson Motorsports machine. And let's continue to talk GT. It is BMW 1, 2, and 3, and they could not be happier because there's a manufacturer's title as well as the driver's title on the line this weekend. And for Tom Milner, who runs this group, it would be a very, very nice way to end the day with both titles. Chris?
Lee, so far smooth sailing with all three cars. It's pretty much been that way all season long, and talking with Tom this weekend, they are committed to Grand Am and coming back next year. He had some thoughts earlier in the season of hopefully moving up to Daytona prototypes, but he is going to be committed to bringing 3 BMWs, possibly 4 back for next year. Now, the only driver that is confirmed to come back for next year right now is Joey Hand, but hopefully when Bill Auberlen gets out of that car, we can talk to him about that situation.
A very strong day for these guys. And Rich Breckus and Hernando Carvajal, two very important people for BMW North America, are here today and hope to cheer their boys home to victory lane. The 16 running strongly in GT. The second of the PTG BMWs, and Kelly Collins, the Californian, is behind the wheel. And we spoke with him earlier, and we mentioned the point that Kelly has done a lot of leapfrogging and jumping around to whatever rides he can pick up this year. There's been one thing consistent, and that is every team owner and manager that he's driven for have been very impressed with his efforts.
That is a fact. And I'll tell you what, the GT next year is going to be a different class. They're changing a little bit. They're getting rid of the SGS class. GT is going to become a very big class. You're going to have 25, 30 cars every weekend. We know there's going to be factory involvement from BMW. We know there's going to be some involvement from General Motors through their Pontiac division.
And look at this. Pat Flanagan, who is driving the 67 machine, has the 33 Maserati Washington right behind him and almost beside him.
Maserati will be back next year, as Porsche will also. Here comes one of the Comp USA Lexuses by.
Pat's lost that 4th spot. The 33 has been able to squeeze by with Dr. Steve Earle at the wheel. So nice work there. And of course, Pat Flanagan is the head. He's the main man at New Century Mortgage. Of course, this Racers Group has such a tight alliance with.
See, right behind that, 10, championship hopeful Wayne Taylor's car, which is running lap times now again as fast as the leader. So it's fixed, but unfortunately it's way down.
I'll show you a replay of some action that occurred right in front of 0-1, Scott Pruitt, the man who leads this race and the Daytona Prototype Championship. Always got to be so careful of traffic. As Wayne Taylor in the 10, SunTrust Pontiac Riley, powers on, disappointment earlier in the day. Frustration as he was taken effectively out of the hunt and now lies down in 9th position.
There's your leader right there, the 0-1.
All right, let's get to that replay and show you what happened to Scott Pruitt a few moments ago.
Here's Scott Pruitt going down into turn 3. That's the real tight left-right combination. And that Porsche comes in right in front of him.
Oh, that's May Van Wyck.
Right behind him. That's how close it can be. I mean, if she had spun into Scott, there would have been nothing Scott could have done about that. But he hit on the rear axle and bent the axle. That could have been the 0-1 there.
Paul Wagner right behind him in the RX.com GNW machine. Wagner has some big plans for next year. We'll tell you about that, but problems for the 21. Bill Auberlen's BMW on pit road. He gets out. Justin Marks is climbing in.
This is a championship hopeful here. If there's really trouble with that car.
Well, that's the word we got. That's the word we got. There was trouble, but is there? And we're now hearing that the team were actually pushing the car onto pit road.
Now the bonnet's up. Yeah, they're going underneath the hood.
Chris Neville, what do you see down there?
Well, I just got down here, guys, and Justin Marks is in this car. There are some problems. They've got the hood up. They've got the computer plugged in. They don't know exactly what the problem is, but looks like an electronic problem.
Now to highlight just how important this is, Boris Said is only 7 points behind Bill Auberlen in the championship chase. So if these guys slip down the order, the championship could go Boris Said's way.
Well, obviously, he barely could get this car back. It's dead. The team, you look way down the road there, they're coming to, the assistants are going to try to push the car down to the stall. They can't work on it until it gets there. And so this car obviously is dead.
And you may remember the story at the top of the show. This is the car that blew an engine in practice earlier in this weekend. Finally gets the 21 fired up, and he begins his chase to try and keep his teammate Bill Auberlen in the GT title hunt. You're on board with the 10 SunTrust Pontiac. And time for Max the Axe Angelelli to get on board. Wayne Taylor's year has come to a close, and now the Italian will finish it out. Brian.
It is a routine stop for these guys. Obviously, the disappointment of earlier on still has an effect on them, but they will go out and trust me, Max Angelelli will drive this car to the limit and possibly even beyond, guys. We've seen it all year long. Very, very fast in the 10 car, 4 tires and fuel, and Angelelli will be underway shortly.
It's not the day they were looking for. They wanted to be right in the thick of it with a head-to-head clash with the 01 CompUSA Ganassi car, and it hasn't gone that way.
They also remain a lap down, so they have a long way to go. Max, you might be able to catch up, but getting those laps back around here is tough.
Still a long way to go, though. We're only just over the halfway mark. So from the 10 SunTrust machine, we climb on board with young Californian Justin Marks, who's had a very valuable season driving with the top-line guys in the PTG outfit. Of course, he drove with them last year as well in the Speedworld Challenge GT Championship, but he's learned a lot over the past 18 months or so. And this is the scenario as far as GT. We'll get to that in a moment. First, here's Chris.
Lead down here with the PTG team, the 21. The problem was a fuel pump issue. They've got him back out on track. That car should be in good shape now, but obviously you can see Bill Auberlen very upset. He asked not to speak with us right now. This happened last year too. Last stage of a championship that he lost it because of a mechanical problem. So today, not looking good for his championship hopes. Now the benefactor of this, obviously a good friend of his and teammate, is going to be Boris Said. Boris, obviously you don't like winning a championship like this, but it looks like it might be going in your direction.
I mean, you never know. I mean, the most important thing is it's team effort, and that BMW wins the manufacturer, and if we can finish 1, 2, 3 today, it would be great. But yeah, I don't like winning like this. I mean, me and Bill shared a car the first half of the year, and obviously today he was faster than I was. So, I mean, I wish we could win the championship together, but it's not to be. I don't really care about championships, but I do have to say something about our friend Lee Dippian. We're going to miss him. I know he's going home. I tried to get with him last night, but I heard he was all tied up. I saw him drive by, but he didn't hear me when he was on the roof. But maybe good luck to Lee, and we're going to definitely miss him. And BMW's going to win this year no matter what, so that's a great thing.
Well, we'll give Bill a few more minutes before hopefully we can get a couple words with him.
Do you want to explain that, Dorsey, or shall I?
Well, Boris apparently saw you sometime last night, seemingly bound to the top of an SUV to the roof, as it were. I don't know much about it.
And folks, my good friends in the announce booth in pit lane did it to me. But anyway, let's get back to the racing because it's serious stuff for the 21 and the 22. And the scenario is, if Boris Said wins the race, Justin Marks needs to get the 21 up to as high as 4th to still give Bill Auberlen a chance. Meanwhile, at the front of the field, the 01 for Scott Pruitt. He's got a 40-plus second lead over Elliott Forbes Robinson. But the difference is EFR needs to hand it over to Butch Leitzinger. Cal, what do you have for us?
Well, when Scott Pruitt makes his next pit stop, he's going to get held for 30 seconds. The team have been arguing about this. This was for that problem they had during the pit stop where the fueling hoses were connected to the car. Now, the officials state that they made an adjustment for the mistake they made by holding Scott before he left the pit box. The team thinks that their math is a little bit wrong, but they're happy with the decision. They just think it should be more like a 20-second stop instead of 30. The other smart thing that the Ganassi boys have done, they've taken the repaired fuel hoses, switched that to the number 8 pit box, and taken the number 8 fuel hoses and switched them back to the 01. So that should negate any hose issues with the repaired system when they get to this round of pit stops.
And I should explain that 30-second penalty happens once he's got to the pit and has stopped the car. Now, slowing the car up to full speed, getting onto pit lane, going down pit lane all the way to the end at the pit lane speed limit, and then the 30 seconds will be very close to a full lap penalty.
That is tough. That's going to be hard to swallow for the Ganassi camp. But they have led every single lap of this race thus far and have been the strongest of the title contenders here at California Speedway Fontana. We'll leave you momentarily, but there is still so much more of this race this season to come. as we farewell the 04 Rolex Sports Car Series and crown some champions today. 3 victories in 2004 for this car with 0-1. CompUSA, Ganassi, Lexus, Riley, Scott Pruitt, Mad Max Pappas. What a combination. They brought some star power to the Rolex Sports Car Series, and they are not too far away from being crowned DP champions. But the race has not been without some drama for them, and we've still got a way to go.
Here's a surprising statistic. The 0-1, of course, being on the pole at every race this year, Buck won, has broken the track record at every race except here. The racetrack here was so green when we got here that the lap speeds are actually, for the first time this year, slower than they ran last year.
Elliott Forbes Robinson in the Voss snowplow, Howard Voss Crawford, Pontiac power plant in the back of this. Butch Leitzinger standing by. Second place car.
See how rough and violent it is right across these bumps like that. That's why we're seeing a lot of these suspension failures and so forth. Really brutally rough.
Behind Elliott Forbes Robinson is Luis Diaz, and this has been a tremendous drive from young Luis to get back up to third, considering the problems that Jimmy Morales had after Jimmy had a fabulous opening stint. That problem on the right rear, and this young Mexican has been hauling.
Look right behind him, 2 cars, and it's Max Angelelli coming up in the 10 car.
And Max is trying to get his lap back, isn't he?
Absolutely, he's got the gun drawn right now.
So there's your top 3, Scott Pruitt, followed by Elliott Forbes Robinson, then Luis Diaz, and then another Ganassi car sits inside the top 4. And it's last year's IRL IndyCar champion, Scott Dixon, is now behind the wheel of the 8. And it's very interesting to note the influx of open-wheeler drivers to the Daytona Prototype and Rolex Sports Car Series.
We talked about that. If you look at the way things are going in the United States with cars, open-wheel series, unfortunately, there's not much place to make a living if you're a guy that makes his money this way.
Well, there is Scott Dixon. Let's hear from his co-driver, Darren Manning.
Darren, it's been almost a year since you turned right on a racetrack. You got back in the groove quickly, but tell us about the problem with the 63 car earlier in the race.
Yeah, a bit of a rookie mistake there, Calvin. You know, I thought he'd given me room. I thought he was pulling over, but, you know, he was just coming back across me. Obviously, hadn't seen me, you know. I was trying to back out of it, and I think that I probably should have tried to keep alongside him and then would have hit wheel to wheel. But I tried to come backwards, and it kind of ripped the nose off. So, yeah, but the car, CompUSA car was running really good. The Lexus has really dominated here with the top 3 position in qualifying. Scott's doing a great job out there as well. We just got to try and push those other 2 cars, you know. Chips, we got the monopoly, but we still want to win.
Any trepidation about coming back to this place? You had a huge crash here on the IRL machine less than a month ago.
Yeah, I was glad to get through qualifying this time for more than 1 lap. Yeah, I've noticed my skid marks and dent in the wall are still there, so but I'm feeling good, and it's just great to be back racing.
Nice to see you here, mate.
Cheers, guys.
And there is Scott Pruitt chasing Scott Dixon down. That is the 4th place car that Pruitt is about to put a lap on. The 0-1 has just had a brilliant performance today.
Certainly has so far today. It's just been right on the money, short of that miscue in the pits. Of course, that was nothing the drivers had to do. That was a miscue, but it's going to cost them 34 seconds. And that could put it in the grasp of second place.
Speaking of open-wheeler drivers, former open-wheeler drivers, the XF1 and Champ Car man, Jan Magnussen, is back, and we love it when he comes to the Rolex Sports Car Series. An electrifying driver, the diminutive Dane, and he's back behind the wheel of the Doran Lister 27 after taking over from Didier Tays. And he's been to and fro crossing the Atlantic. He's had plenty of commitments in Europe this year. He always joins us here in the Rolex Sports Car Series. The Michael Shank machine with young Hawaiian Bert Frizzell is the next one in the order, and the 6th sits in 6th position.
We talked about earlier some new changes for next year. Well, there's a good possibility this young man will team with his brother in a Daytona Prototype for next year.
They're keeping it a little quiet. They're not going to make the release just yet, but that, I spoke to their father Bradley, said that will happen. He and Brian Frizzell, the younger brother, just picked up his first podium in the Star Mazda Series a few weekends ago at Laguna Seca. So 2 great talents. And that'd be a real thrill to compete with your brother.
Yeah, it would really be a good thing. Both of the guys are very talented. I see wisps of smoke coming out of the back of the 6, however, which I don't like, right back at the gearbox area.
And Andy Wallace after taking over from Milka Duno very early in this race after Milka was involved in the opening lap crash at turn 3. She went off the track and there was a hiccup. She came in very early, handed the car over to Andy, and he's been in it very, very early on.
Worked really hard to get his lap back from that pit stop where he got a lap down. Got his lap back, had to make another pit stop, back a lap down, trying to get it back again.
He sits 7th on the road. Pruitt, Forbes, Robinson, Diaz, Dixon, Magnussen, Frizzell, and Wallace. And then we go back to the 59 machine. Hurley Haywood is in there, and the 58, David Donahue sits all the way down in 32nd overall. Here's the 59 with Hurley Haywood behind the wheel. And he cracked a joke at the drivers' meeting this morning. It's been a somewhat frustrating year for them after he and JC France enjoyed a couple of victories last season in the inaugural year of Daytona Prototypes. Mark Raffoff, the race director, congratulated Hurley for being the first to every drivers' meeting this year. And Hurley said, well, it's nice to be first at something this year. The RX.com car. And this is the last time you'll see the combination of Brent Martini and Cord Wagner in this car. They are moving on to new and different things next year. I'm pretty sure Brent Martini will compete in the Grand Am Cup Series, and Cord Wagner has some very exciting plans in Daytona Prototype. New car, new team, new sponsor. Keep an eye out for that. Climb on board with Max Angelelli, and let's go down to their pit and hear from Wayne Taylor.
Wayne, early on problems. We thought it was initially an ECU. What exactly was wrong with the car?
We thought firstly it was a fuel problem, went onto reserve, then changed the ECU. It didn't help. We came back in, changed the steering wheel and turned the traction control on. And it appears it was a right rear wheel sensor that failed.
Unbelievable. You didn't expect this today. Obviously, you thought it was going to be a fight on the racetrack. Now you've just got to essentially sit and wait until we get in the last 10 laps of this race. How difficult is that position?
Well, you know, the position is almost impossible depending on yellows, but if anybody can make this up, Max can. Yeah, I think he's just set the fastest race lap. So it's a real shame. Yeah, you know, I mean, we had lots to gain. Probably not that much to lose. But, you know, winning is everything, really.
Well, it's been a 10-month-long season, 56 hours of racing. These guys are spending over $1 million on their operating budget, and it comes down to a small $2 part.
Frustration for those guys. We need to squeeze in a break, and as we do, there's no doubt that the Rolex Sports Car Series attracts star power. Have a look at that for a lineup. Pruitt, Forbes, Robinson, Diaz, Dixon, and Jan Magnussen. There's been a change in the lead too in GT because the Said Hand machine now runs first. 67, Pat Flanagan brings the Racers Group Porsche in, and Brian's there.
Lee, Kevin Buckler, the team owner, will be taking over the 67 car, but they will have to serve a pit lane penalty for speeding down pit road when Flanagan brought the car in. Big news down here for the Racers Group. They will run 2 Daytona Prototypes next year and at least 4 Porsches at the Daytona 24 Hours. And rumor has it, Kevin Buckler will only drive at Daytona and then step out of the seat for the rest of the season. But with 2 brand new prototypes as toys, it might be hard to keep him out of the seat for long, guys.
There's a lot of people who think that they go motor racing and do it well as a business. Well, there's very few people who do it better than this guy. He does it top shelf. He has a terrific corporate setup for the guests and sponsors and VIPs, and he really does run this as a business and does it extremely well.
When you come with one of your sponsors and they bring their people and you come to a setup like Kevin Buckler has put together with his hospitality area, it is truly an impressive sight. It makes you feel great for it. Kevin doing a great job.
So, 1 hour left in the 2004 Rolex Sports Car Series. After an amazing year, 11 rounds thus far, we've traveled all over the country, up to Canada. Next year we'll go to Mexico City. And look at this is a crucial pit stop. Elliott Forbes Robinson will now hand over to Butch Leitzinger. This is an important one, Calvin.
It really is, and they are definitely in with a sniff of victory here this afternoon. Remember, we're expecting the 01 to get a 30-second penalty during their pit stop. And right now, we believe the 4 car can go the rest of the distance, just under an hour without another stop. I checked in with the team where they said we should be good to go. So it'll be 4 new Goodyear tires. Everyone this weekend is running the 430 compound, similar to what we did at Homestead. They believe on these roval track configurations, the harder Goodyear compound is the way to go, and that's designated. Every DP car in the field is running this hard compound. Butch Leitzinger's been absolutely flying this weekend. They've got a strong race car. They're going to try and make it 2 in 2 races, Lee.
Yeah, it took them 11 races to get their first victory. Now they could get back-to-back wins. And quite often, when you talk to the fans and the folks in the paddock, they vote this car as the best-looking Daytona prototype we've seen.
Well, Butch Leitzinger will have been told by now to go out there and run this car as hard as he possibly can. He needs every lap he runs to be a qualifying type lap, because the more time he can gain on that 0-1 car, when it comes in, he gets that 30-second penalty, will make the difference whether he can catch it.
Well, it was about, and we'll check it next time it cycles through, but when Elliott Forbes Robinson brought the car in, as we ride now with Pruitt, it was about a 1:16 margin in Scott Pruitt's favour.
I can tell you that this 1 lap deficit that a few of these cars are under, that's nothing. If the 0-1 car has any kind of falter at all, that 1 lap can go away really quickly. So this is no way and no means over with yet.
And just a point of interest on Scott Pruitt, away from the racetrack, you may remember that he and his wife Judy wrote a children's book, 12 Little Race Cars. Well, he and Judy have produced another one, and I think it's called 12 More Little Race Cars, and you can purchase that at your local Target store. While we ride with the 01, it's appropriate we show you this. 3 wins, but the staggering figure there, 11 poles. They have been dominant in qualifying, and not all of them they've had to earn, we should add, because several rounds were based off championship points position because of wet weather, etc., and time constraints. But they have led a lap in every single race, and that has been impressive.
They somehow find some speed for qualifying. We've seen so many times this year the 10 car be the quickest car in practice before qualifying, just to have the 0-1. Step up the pace, some half a second or so, and get the pole.
Well, I think out of these 12 races so far, I think 8 or 9 times, might even be more than that, the 10 SunTrust machine has been quickest on Friday, but the 01 has the edge on Sunday, doesn't it? Laps led since Mid-Ohio, which was when we entered the second half of the season. And look at that dominance from the 01 machine.
I'll tell you what, when Chip Ganassi announced he was coming in here with this stellar team, everybody knew he would be tough. We all probably figured he was the team to beat. The 10 team, the SunTrust team, really stepped up to the plate. These guys on the first car really did a great job, as did the Crawford team in this 4 car. You see with now Butch Leitzinger in it.
Let's hear from the man who is celebrating his 61st birthday.
61 years young today, like an old red wine that gets better with age. Earhart, you could go 2 for 2. Can you believe at this stage of your career you're dicing for the win once again?
No, you know, if I'd asked me even 10 years ago, I never would have thought this would be happening. But, you know, these guys give me such a good car, even I can run up front with it, you know, so I'm really happy about it. And, you know, it's a tough day because with all this hard braking, you're locking wheels, flat spot, and it's been really difficult. But, you know, somehow, I don't think I'm doing real well today, but it's working out okay.
You made that early stop, but you still managed to get good enough mileage where you can do it on 2 stops here. You now got Butch behind the wheel. He's been flying. Can you take the win today?
Well, it's up to Butch now, and he's up to the task, I think, so let's see what he can do.
Okay, fingers crossed down here at Crawford.
And it's a family affair down there for EFR, because for the last few races, his young son, Ian, has been working on the Howard Boss team. So we'll see if he can do it. We'll see if Butch Leitzinger can do it. But at the moment, he has 3 Ganassi Lexus Rileys up ahead. Pruitt, Diaz, and Dixon. That's going to be a tough trio to get by.
Welcome back, and the leader has just pitted, Scott Pruitt, and he's taken that 30-second penalty here in pit lane, and that should be his final stop of the day as he tries to chase down his 7th Professional Drivers' Championship here today, along with Max Pappas.
That would have been agonizing sitting through that.
30 seconds sitting there doing nothing. It's a third of a lap on its own without having to slow up coming a bit and then get back up to speed. Now there's your second place car running. We got to see after this shakes out to see what happened to the 0-1. How far did that hurt it?
Luis Diaz. Look forward to seeing him in the Rolex Sports Car Series next year. I think he's deserved a spot. He's performed well. And it's really taken to closed cockpit car racing after an open-wheeler career for this young Mexican. Let's talk GT for a moment. We've got the 16 and the 22, the Milner Collins machine just ahead of the Joey Hadmore Said car. That's how they stand in GT. And at the moment, Borisset and Bill Auberlen are tied for the lead in the championship. And if that were to happen, if that were to stay the same, Bill Auberlen would win on a count-back of victories. More for Auberlen than Borisset. But we've still got 50-odd minutes to go, and we'll see what happens later today here at California Speedway Fontana. The way it sits at the moment, with Luis Diaz leading the race, Scott Pruitt second due to that 30-second penalty in the pits, and Scott Dixon running third. Our champions look to be Pruitt and Pappas, Bill Auberlen, and Andy Lally and Mark Bunting, but that could change. Stick around. And if you have just joined us, fairly eventful day so far. This is the Lexus Grand American 400, part of the Champions Weekend. There has been plenty going on. The favour, the power is in the Ganassi camp at the moment to take out the championship. But let's show you what happened to the championship contenders. So far, the 10 SunTrust Pontiac Riley Wayne Taylor, some problems, some electrical issues early on. The car slowed, and right there he was effectively taken out of the hunt. Pit stop, they spent more time than they wanted in pit lane. The team went to work. Frustration. Watch this. This was a scary moment. Pappas out. Pruitt in. Thought he was released. He wasn't. The fuel hose got stretched. Fuel spewing everywhere. Fortunately, it did not ignite. And as you've just seen, if you've been with us this afternoon, Pruitt has served a 30-second penalty for that. But then he almost got hit by Mae Van Wyck as she ran wide, spun her G&W Porsche, and he narrowly avoided an unnecessary accident. GT champion-elect Bill Auberlen, well, he may not be the champion-elect anymore because he had problems with his car. There was a fuel issue. The crew had to push him up pit road, and that was costly for he and Justin Marks. And for these guys, Mark Bunting, Andy Lally, boy, the champagne is already flowing for the TPC guys as they will be crowned SGS champions. And let's show you the points as of now in our 3 respective classes. For Max Pappas, Scott Pruitt, they would win the Daytona Prototype Championship by 13 points. In GT, it's tied because it is tied. Bill Auberlen and Borisset, if they stay as they are, would be tied, but Auberlen has more victories. He would win his second GT championship in the Rolex Sports Car Series. And as I just mentioned, Lally and Bunting have a 19-point margin over their team boss, Michael Levitas, and will be celebrating at the end-of-year banquet in Las Vegas tomorrow night. Back on track, the 6th for Michael Shank Racing. And I believe this may be the last time we see this car because it will be sold, I understand, because Mike Borkowski and Paul Mears are taking their Riley over to Michael Shank Racing, and Michael will run that and perhaps maybe even get a second car to run. The Frizzels are going elsewhere, and we understand that Oswaldo Negri Jr. is heading elsewhere also. And Oz is in the car right now. Looks like they've performed the change they have. And Oswaldo's got something coming up, something exciting coming up on the 13th of November. He competes in that huge go-kart event in Brazil, the 500 miles of Grande Viana, and he will be teamed with Elio Castro Neves and Gil de Ferran. And Ozzy will race against people like Juan Pablo Montoya, David Coulthard, Barrichello, Massa, Pizzonia, Christian Fittipaldi, Mario Haberfeld, and the newly crowned IRL IndyCar champion Tony Kanaan. That will be a hoot.
Sounds like a big wreck to me.
How would you like to do 500 miles of a golf game?
I'll tell you what, you got to be fit to do it. So these guys are
on board with Justin Marks, and he is 5th in class, 17th overall. And now let's talk to his teammate who is in the pressure seat, Bill Auberlen.
Bill, in the past 5 years, you had 2 champions slip away from you in the last race. When you got out of the 21 just a little bit ago, you thought that had happened again. Obviously, you were very emotional, but Justin's been fighting back, and now the 21 is in a position to get you the championship.
Yeah, I just feel bad for the team. This has happened to us like last year in the World Challenge, Speed World Challenge, then a couple years before that, some other series. it can't happen again. We have to turn it around. Justin's out there climbing his way back up. The way it is, we're okay again, but it could change. I mean, I'm on pins and needles. It's going to kill me here. You've been a factory driver for BMW for almost a decade now. That contract is up at the end of this year. Some rumors around the paddock here that you might be back with BMW next year, but also some other teams that are working on Daytona prototype programs, some manufacturers trying to pull you in that direction. Where are we going to see you in 2005? You know, I've been with BMW so long, it's hard to go. I don't want to go, but there's some really neat Daytona prototype stuff. I mean, our driver always wants to go as quick as he can go, and Daytona prototype now is the place to be. I got some neat stuff laying there. It just, it's a matter of can BMW and I work a deal out, and it looks like maybe we could. Lee?
Thanks, Chris, and interesting to hear that update from Bill Auberlen, and we'll watch his progress with much interest. Will he be able to get that victory today for the championship, or will it go to Morris Said? And as you can see there, he's going for his 9th GT win of the season. It's been a very impressive one for the Prototype Technology Group, BMW M3. Battle here for position in SGS, and it's the 36 of Randy Popes, the TPC Porsche, and Harrison Bricks in the Grease Monkey Machine, the 04 car. That's for second in SGS.
Harrison Bricks, of course, the young son of Harry Bricks, who used to field the IMSA-type cars. You can remember with Motorola sponsorship and so forth. Saw him for the first time the other day in a long time. He's looking well.
Those guys fighting it out. Randy Popes, I spoke with Randy yesterday. He's a little frustrated that he was effectively taken out of the championship chase by missing points opportunities at a couple of events and missing an event, period. Because Randy was great action last year in the Grand Am Cup Series, and we hope to see him back next year as well. We're counting down the final minutes because there's just 43 to go in this 2004 Rolex Sports Car Series. There's the Kodak Easy Share, Doran. Terry Borcella and Christian Fittipaldi is driving that Daytona prototype now. We go on board with Christian. Sadly, they had problems in the beginning of the race. They got turned around. Then they had a damaged suspension part on the rear left of the car. And they're fighting their way back, but they're not in a very handsome points position. Scott Dixon has brought the Ganassi machine in. Time for a service there, and when he brought it in, he was 3rd on the road.
You see no driver change being affected there. They're going to do tires and fuel.
And Dorsey, we saw it yesterday in the Grand Am Cup race. It went 89 laps without a yellow. We had one yellow earlier in this race on the opening lap, but none since. That's quite extraordinary.
Well, it's a lot to do with this racetrack. There's a lot of runoff. If you get in trouble, you don't normally hit anything.
Time for a quick break, but stay with us because later this afternoon, we will crown our champions. Race leader Luis Diaz is on pit road. Calvin Fish is there.
Looks like a routine stop, Lee. They're probably going to need about 3/4 of a tank of fuel. Tyres are going on. They've changed all 4 tyres again. The 430, the Harley Goodyear compound. And this team has looked at their 3rd podium finish of the year. I think a win is possibly out of their hands right now, but it's certainly looking for another strong finish to the season.
And as Diaz lights it up, you have to say it's a real shame that the SunTrust Pontiac was taken out of this championship race very early in today's event, because the 2 fastest cars on the track running identical lap times are Scott Pruitt and Max Angelelli. Angelelli sadly is down in 9th, but Pruitt now leads this race and is in the box seat to win this championship. Let's talk GT, and this is the fight for the lead, and it's a team squabble between the 16 and the 22, between Kelly Collins and Joey Hand. Look at them go at it, and in the middle of it is Christian Fittipaldi.
Christian right there in the 54, trying to find where these BMWs handle so good through the infield that they're really just as fast as the prototype right there.
Riding with Fittipaldi, you got the best seat there to take a look at it. And let's show you how Christian ended up in the middle of these BMWs, because he had a minor incident earlier. Take a look at this.
So he gets off the outside, no problem. Sun's getting pretty bright. Wow, that's what the road takes right in the center of the corner there.
So Kelly Collins leads the GT class, teaming with young Tom Milner. And if they could win, that would be yet another different winner in the GT class. It's been dominated by Bill Auberlen this year. In the first half, it was Auberlen and Said. In the second half, Auberlen and Marks. But Kevin Buckle, Tom Stars, had a victory. That was at Homestead. Selly, Justin Marks had a victory at Watkins Glen. Of course, the Policastros, Johnny Bolam and Robin Liddell won the Rolex 24 at Daytona in the GT class. We may have another different winner in GT today. And there in the middle is Andy Lally.
And that's the lead. Yes, Andy Lally right there at 38, getting past. Big hunk of debris there. He's got the flag on for it.
Well, let's get down to the TPC camp and hear more from those guys.
Well, in fact, there's Mark Bunting behind the wheel and Andy Lally. You just lost the lead, but you and Mark have clinched the Drivers' Championship. A very sweet season for you both.
It has been. This whole group of guys here has done an incredible job to get and rally behind Mark and I. I got to thank Mark for doing such a super job. Mike Johnson, the whole TPC crew. It's been a great year. It's been storybook. If we stay where we are right now, it'll be 11 podiums and 12 races and a handful of wins too. So it's been a good time.
Andy, congratulations. And Lee, you know about this yesterday. Talk about a roller coaster of emotions. Yesterday, Andy was absolutely beside himself when he made a mistake and took out the championship leader in the Grand Am Cup race. He didn't know what to do with himself last night, but he's come back and won a championship today.
Yeah, that was very uncharacteristic of what we're talking about there. He had it was just an awkward accident with another car in the Grand Am Cup Series event that had pretty bad consequences. And there is an overview of the 38 machine in the TPC Porsche for their season. And it has been very impressive, and it just paints the picture that consistency is what it's all about. Our race leader, Scott Pruitt, has a 40-second margin over Butch Leitzinger. Can Butch catch that up? Well, at the moment, it's unlikely because Pruitt continues to turn the fast lap.
That is what the amazing thing is, the 0-1 with a lap time of 1:33.5. Butch only got a 34.2. So he'll have to pick the pace up if he has any chance to make up that time.
And Luis Diaz is turning faster lap times than the Crawford. He's back in third, ahead of Scott Dixon, and he is only 6.5 seconds behind Butch Leitzinger, so it could be a Ganassi 1-2, and Leitzinger more than likely will have a fight on his hands very, very soon. A little further back behind Scott Dixon, Andy Wallace maintains a top 5. Jan Magnussen is 6th, Max Angelelli is 7th. Oswaldo Negri is 8th, Hurley Hayward 9th, and the GNW machine, Paul Wagner, Brent Martini rounds out the top 10. Looking at the 22 PTG BMW on track, it has just visited pit lane. Chris Neville can tell us why.
Lee, real quick stop for Joey Hand in the 22. Just came in for fuel, no tires on that stop, so very quick stop. Came in, got his fuel, and went back out.
And we understand the Sidco Crawford is on pit road as well. There it is, Calvin's on the spot.
And Andy Wallace has jumped out after just over 2 hours in. The car's going to be Milka Duno to finish off this season. And it's been a great one, and certainly a lot of ups and downs, but when you come out of a season with 2 victories with the level of competition we've seen this year, still a remarkable feat by this Crawford squad, Lee.
It has been for Max and Jan and Catherine Crawford and the entire team. Andy Scriven, the designer, what a job he's done.
Oh, you got
who created those cars effectively.
You got to say that's for sure. Now Milka Duno back behind the wheel, going to do the last remaining 10 laps of this race. Give Andy a break. Get some time in the car.
I'm not sure if Milka will be back or not. I'm not 100% on that if she will be in that team next year. I think she should. I think she will be. I'm not completely sure on that. We go back to our GT leader, the 16 of Kelly Collins. Things remain as is. The championship is going Bill Auberlin's way. Joey Hand needs to put the 22 into the top spot for Boris Said to be the GT champion. So that's been going back and forth for a while now. And the 33 Maserati sits third with still Steve Earle behind the wheel. Brian?
Lee, the only problem with the 33 cars is they're going to have to stop for fuel. They've been doing battle with the 66. 66 had already stopped for fuel and tires. The 33 Maserati will have to take 5 seconds of fuel. They're going to keep him out for as long as they possibly can. Hope for a yellow. For those guys running that Maserati in 2005 spec trim, they're at a significant disadvantage to the BMWs. A podium finish in the last round for those guys would be like a victory.
And they are immediately ahead of the 66 Racers Group Porsche. Ian James, who has had a superb year of racing here and in the American Le Mans Series, has really stamped his name in sports car racing in North America. And I was pleased to hear yesterday that Ian has had a few offers here and there from different teams to really extend and grow his career. He's a great young guy and a terrific driver. He's had fun this year with a couple of characters, RJ Valentine and Chris Gleason. for us?
Well, we've got a man who really gave it a great shot here this season. Andy, you've come up a little bit short in the championship. Going a lap down really early just kind of killed Holt. You kept scratching and clawing though.
It did, but you know, this team never gives up, so we just push it as hard as we could. Just not our day today, really, but I want to say thank you to Sinko and to Pontiac for helping us out all year. The team's done a great job. This was a brand new car this year. It's come a long way since the beginning of the year, and I can't wait for the next season. You know, every one of these races has been a really great one. Unfortunately, the last one wasn't so good for us, but hey, just motor racing.
Andy, a great season. Well done.
Thank you very much.
So Milker gets to finish it off inside the final 7 laps of this race. And boy, is it looking sweet for this guy and his Italian teammate Max Pappas. Scott Pruett, Max Pappas, we've had a spin, and that is Luis Diaz. And he was chasing down Butch Leitzinger. And that has been costly. And that will elevate Scott Dixon to 3rd place. And he was battling with Butch Leitzinger, so he was only 6 seconds behind him, then it went down to 5, and he got right with the 4, and look at this.
Oh, just pitches the corner off and makes contact in the back. Both cars do an onboard look at what happens right here. Goes to the inside, trying to take the corner away from Butch. Here he goes. There's too much speed on him. Quit and tap, and around he goes.
Flat left rear.
Yeah, so he'll have to bring that in to get the pit stop, which ends his day. As far as making that position up, that's over with.
And he makes it onto pit road. So inside the last 6 laps now, Diaz, an unnecessary stop. That puts the IRL stars on the podium. Dixon and Manning have been elevated. With the O2, Luis Diaz has been into the pits, fresh tyre, back out on the racetrack, but it was costly. He lost 3rd place, and if you've just joined us, this is what happened. He was trying to force the issue with Butch Leitzinger.
Trying to pass the position just gets him a little too hot. That little bump there just takes him around. Take a look on board. He goes, pitches down the corner, but that just turns the nose in too far, too hard, and around he goes.
I'd imagine, Dawson's a split-second decision. You think, I've got enough, oops, no I don't.
Make a few of those.
Cal, what do you have?
Well, it was just a quick stop. They did, in fact, just change the left rear tyre, light body damage, nothing that's going to cut down another one. But that mistake there will probably cost them a podium finish today, I think.
Let's just give you a championship roundup, getting away from the drivers' scenarios in the closing few laps of this race. Pontiac, as that point stand right now, Pontiac would clinch the Engine Manufacturers Championship in the Daytona Prototype field. For chassis, we congratulate Riley, because as the points stand now, Riley Technologies would win the chassis championship. BMW would edge out Porsche in the GT Engine Manufacturer Championship, and in SGS, Porsche had already clinched that title coming into this 12th and final race. That's the great thing about the Rolex Sports Car Series, diversity of manufacturers and chassis. And here you see a Lexus-powered Riley with Scott Pruett behind the wheel. And except for that one little incident with the fuel spillage and the fuel hose and the 30-second penalty, the day for Pappas and Pruett has gone perfectly. And let's hear from Mad Max now.
Max, you look like you're on pins and needles if you see this race wind down, and you're on the verge of your first professional drivers' championship. Is that hard to believe after all the success that you've had in this sport?
You know, it's a very nerve-wracking day for us. You know, everybody at Lexus and Comp USA, they won this championship very badly. Chip is very super focused on it. You know, we come out of a very difficult week for motorsport with my friend Randy Dorton and everybody at Hendrick, and they've been in my heart all race long, so still 3 to go. Very emotional for me.
Well, he's got his fingers crossed. They're trying to hang on. The O2 car had to come in and change more tyres on that car, so obviously some kind of problem still with that machine.
And the championship honour roll for Chip Ganassi Racing is pretty impressive. 96 with Jimmy Vasser in Champ Car, 97, 98 in Champ Car with Alex Zanardi, and then of course 99 with Juan Pablo Montoya in Champ Car. And last year, the 2003 IRL IndyCar champion Scott Dixon, they're just 3 laps away from putting Scott Pruett, Max Pappas on the walls in Indianapolis at their headquarters for Daytona Prototype champions in the Rolex Sports Car Series. Very, very impressive. Let's hear
talking about this Drivers' Championship, and you just updated everybody on the Manufacturers' Championship. This weekend has obviously been very important for both GM and Lexus. And the paddock has just been littered with personnel from both camps. And in talking with the representatives from GM, they obviously haven't said anything about their 2005 plans, but with the SEMA show in Las Vegas this week, they said the president of GM will be announcing their plans for Grand Am next year, and they're definitely planning to up the ante.
The momentum, the interest in this series is phenomenal at the moment, and you can see why. Interesting racing amongst the three classes, and it becomes more focused, more simplistic, and more intense next year when it goes to just a two-class field. Makes it easy for the viewers, makes it easy for the competitors, and it will be brilliant.
And dare I say, when we go to Daytona to open the 2005 season, we will see one of the largest fields to converge on that racetrack in many, many years.
And we hear the list of NASCAR stars will be impressive there. The 10, Max Angelelli, is not giving up. He has now just leapfrogged his way into 5th place, and Jan Magnussen into 4th. So those guys, although it's late in the race and late in the season, they are not giving up.
And Max Angelelli runs down at 1:31.9, taking the fastest race lap and lowering it by over a second.
Very impressive stuff.
That's qualifying speed right there.
And there it is, at the end of the day, at the end of the year, 12 points separating the Ganassi pair and that car there, the SunTrust Pontiac Riley.
What a shame to have that problem. Here we are, with just a couple of laps to go. This car right here is turning laps faster than what half this field qualified at.
Big movers in the field have been Magnussen and Court Wagner, gaining 6 positions from where they started. And 2 more laps of the California Speedway to go, and we can crown our champions. Last year it was Terry Borchella, then in the Chevrolet-powered Don. This year it will be this car, the Lexus-powered Riley. Brand new chassis for the year, brand new combination with Pruitt and Pappas, and Ganassi coming into sports cars. It was huge news in last year's off-season. What a way to do it.
I'll tell you what, this is the way to win a championship, by going out, slugging it out, and being the man on top. They have led, and they have dominated in every fashion, in every category with this car.
And Max Pappas, he's enjoyed the highs and lows of Formula One, of Champ Car racing, and sports cars. Remember, it was sports car racing that really created and made his name here in the United States. And this will be a brilliant day, a memorable day for him. He's a very emotional and passionate guy. But he gets Scott Pruitt to stand on the top step of the podium and say we're not only race winners, but we are the champions. Will be something special. Final lap here at Fontana.
Well, I tell you what, he's sitting back there right now. You can count your chickens now. He knows he's got it. Look right there.
And he's got some
very
tears.
emotional. He's got the tears in his eyes. He realizes the championship is his. A long year. As a driver, you just want to get it over, but once it's over, it's so sweet.
And, you know, to be fair, he's made some errors, but he has absolutely worked his heart out and put in some brilliant drives, and so too is this man. Super focused, super intense, and very talented Scott Pruitt. Getting to an age where, you know, you start to think about, am I going to keep driving anymore? And this has really invigorated him and remotivated him, and he is loving sports car racing.
When Scott decides to hang up his helmet, I'll tell you what, when you look back over his career, the things he has done and the accomplishments he's made, the adversity he's had that go through with his injuries and so forth, this is one stellar human being.
But then you look at the age gap between he and Elliott Forbes Robinson, there's still plenty of driving to go for Scott Pruitt. The championship has come to an end, and it is victorious. Scott Pruitt, Max Pappas not only win the race, they are the 2004 Rolex Sports Car Champions. Superb effort from CompUSA, Ganassi Racing, and understandably they celebrate. And look at how emotional it is. He has worked so hard. And look at, there's a fresh winner in GT. The 16 of Tom Milner Jr. and Kelly Collins victorious there. There's young Tom. Formula BMW this year and sports cars to round out the year. But there's the man at the top of the field and the top of the championship tree. Scott Pruitt, he won Trans Am last year and he wins the Rolex Series this year. Not bad, huh? 2 titles in 2 years.
Tell you what, this is the most favorite lap of all. You need that lap just to get your composure, because you know they're going to stick a microphone in your face as soon as you stop, and you're not ready for that right away.
And the SGS race winner, and a fresh one at that. Their best result to date was second, but now Harrison Briggs and Gene Segal, they take the Grease Monkey team to victory lane here in Fontana. Superb, and let's get down to the Ganassi camp with Calvin.
Well, big celebrations down here. Max Pappas, the Drivers' Championship. But Chip, you've got to be very proud of this team today. Unbelievable performance.
It was, I'll tell you what, it was a great year. You know, my hat's off to Scott and Max, entire CompUSA team, Mike Hall, you know, our car owners, our sponsors, everybody, our partners. It's been a great year, and I mean, I can't tell you how good it feels.
It didn't come easy, Chip, and next year the competition's going to be tougher. The goalposts are going to be moved.
We're going to be back for more.
All right, we look forward to it. Congratulations, great team effort by Chip Ganassi and all the boys.
And they celebrate, and so too to PTG BMW, Bill Auberlen. He and his good friend Boris said tied for points, but the Californian wins it on a countback of victories. The 2004 Rolex Sports Car Series has come to a close, and what a year it's been. As we take a look at the final results, Pappas and Pruitt, their 4th victory of the year, and for Elliott Forbes Robinson, Butch Leitzinger, victory at Barber, 2nd here. They finished the season strong, and the IRL stars, Darren Manning and Scott Dixon, will stand on the podium here today. And what a fight back from the 10 of Max Angelelli and Wayne Taylor to finish 4th. Brilliant stuff. They never said die. We roll through the field. Good result too, just outside the top 10 for the brand new car for Margraf Racing, Borkowski and Nolte. And they'll be back at the Rolex 24 at Daytona. And for Andy Wallace and Milka Duno, inside the top 10, and that was a hard-fought race for those guys. Calvin Fish has our Lexus Spotlight winner interview.
Well, they can finally breathe easy. Scott Pruitt, Max Pappas, that was the perfect race weekend, other than the little glitch in the pit. Did your heart sink when that fuel hose was connected, Scott?
Yeah, because they sent me. I had my family at home. They sent me, and it wasn't unhooked, so it was like, keep calm, stay smart. The guys did a great job. All the Ganassi boys, CompUSA, Lexus, they gave us a little bit more for this race, just fine-tuning everything. And it's teamwork. That's what won us. Goodyear, everything. Oh, the party started. But it's going to be, I mean, this is awesome. I mean, Max has been great to drive with, and you're coming down to the last race, 3 points. I was like, oh my gosh, but we pulled it off, and it's in fine style.
Superb job for Scott, your 7th championship. Max, your first. Give us your feelings tonight.
Today's a fantastic feeling for us. You know, everyone in Chip Ganassi Racing wanted this championship very badly. First championship for Lexus, and coming out of a very difficult weekend for the motorsport in general. You know, I had in my heart Randy Dorton and all the friends of Hendrick all weekend long, and, you know, I drove from my heart.
Well said and well done, mate.
Thanks.
Superb performance for those boys. Superb. And how motivated will they be next year? From our Daytona Prototype champions, let's go now to our Super Grand Sport champions.
A couple of happy guys down here, Mark Bunting and Andy Lally. Mark, your first professional championship. Can you even wrap it up in words how it feels?
I can't describe it yet, but I'm just excited to go to Vegas and celebrate a little bit. But it's been a great weekend, a great season. TPC did a great job, and everyone else. So I just don't know what to say right now, but I'm real happy.
Well, the party definitely goes to Vegas for the banquet. Andy Lally, your 2nd professional championship. The consistency is what put you guys here.
Yeah, I can't put it into words either. You know, this is our 2nd championship, and it's a blast. I mean, this 38 car, the Agilon people have been here backing us all year long. I just couldn't ask for anything more. I got a great teammate here, a great crew, Mike Johnson, Tucker Martin. This whole TPC crew have been working their butts off all year, and I just want to say thank you, and I owe it to these guys.
Well, that hard work got him the championship. 7 second-place finishes, 2 wins, only off the podium once. That equals championship, guys.
And let's take a look at the points situation at the end of 12 rounds. The DP title came down to just 10 points. Can you believe that? After 12 races all over the country, a thrilling way to end it. And of course, Andy Wallace held on to his 3rd, just ahead of Max Angelelli. We take a look at GT. It can't be any closer than this. Tied between Bill Auberlen and Boris Said. And as we mentioned, Bill Auberlen gets his 2nd GT Rolex Championship on a countback of victories. He had more than Boris, and we've just heard from those 2 boys. 18 points ahead of Michael Levitas, the team owner, and well done, John Littlechild. It was a TPC top 3. Awesome effort. And now let's hear from our GT champion.
Bill, you've been winning races all year long. A little over an hour ago, you thought you lost the championship. Obviously, an emotional day for you, but you got it in the end.
This was the biggest roller coaster ride of my entire life. I mean, we go from leading, and it's great, to we're out of it, to we're back in it. We tied. Boris and I tied. So all of a sudden, I was the happiest guy on the planet, and now I feel bad for Boris because he's as deserving as I am, and this team, PTG, Dave, Brian, all the guys, I owe everything to them, and they've lifted the curse. And BMW, get a BMW, it's the best.
Well, he gets his 7th professional championship, so a big score for Bill Auberlen, and also the team gets another win with the 16 car.
Thanks, Chris. Time now to take a look at the SunTrust Improve Your Position Award. We congratulate Brent Martini, Court Wagner, moving 6 positions. In GT, it went to Ian James, Chris Gleason, and RJ Valentine, moving 6 as well, going from 9th to 3rd. And in TPC, it was Randy Popes and Mike Levitas, making up 7 positions. Well done to those guys, and SunTrust continue their support of the Rolex Sports Car Series. Well, Dorsey, we come to the end of another fantastic season, and this Daytona prototype juggernaut continues to fly. Your thoughts of the 04 season?
Well, I'll tell you what, with the racing being as good as it's been all this year, you don't want the season to end, do you? I mean, it's got to end because we don't have much time before we start Daytona next year, but it's been a fantastic season for all these guys. Watching this class grow, it's going to be a fantastic 2005 year.
There is so much talk about the Rolex 24 at Daytona. It will again happen early next year. We hope you can be with us for that. We've enjoyed bringing you the highs and lows of the Rolex Sports Car Series. On behalf of Calvin Fish, Brian Till, Chris Neville, and Dorsey Schrader, we would like to thank the entire Speed TV crew, all of the technical people, our producers, the entire staff that really work hard to bring you top-level sports car racing here on Speed. I'm Lee Diffie. It's been a privilege to be working with you and for you on sports car racing in North America. It's time for me to head back to Australia, and it's been an absolute blast, and I look forward to watching the growth of this series. Enjoy it, folks. It's going to be great.